So here's the thing about long story short. It's not told in order. We jump all over the place to tell this first season about the Schwoopers, from different locations to different time periods. No two episodes are set in the same place. And while I do love this method of non-linear storytelling and think it aided this story greatly, it can be nice to provide a frame of reference for what happens before or after when. So here is the full timeline thus far of the Schwooper family. This was requested by a patron, and I was happy to do it. The earliest memory or scene that is mentioned takes place in 1959. After successfully touring the neighborhood on her bike, a young Naomi stabs herself in the leg to get her family's attention and tell them her accomplishment. This is the first time we see Naomi kind of struggling to get the attention pointed at her, and hints that this is where this behavior sort of began, in this very cluttered household where she had to fight for any attention at all. Also around this time, Naomi, at Uncle Barry's house, paints his toenails after he falls through the ceiling. Not really provided much context, but that does happen. The next earliest memory we get isn't until 1976, when Naomi meets a naked Elliot in Golden Gate Park, currently tripping hard on what I assume is LSD because of the time period, and she ends up helping him calm down after he falsely believes everyone around him is a werewolf, spurning the relationship that begins the Schwooper family. In 1982, Naomi gives birth to her first child, Avi, and in 1984, then comes Shira. In 1991, Yoshi is born, or possibly the year before, we just know that he is a baby around this time. The Schwoopers also travel to New Jersey to visit their cousins and aunt. While Shira and Avi play lifeguard, he goes off to play soccer with his cousins as Shira struggles to stay above the surface and has a drowning scare before being saved by a stranger. Naomi rubs a binky on her swimsuit and then gives it to Yoshi as well. Next up, in 1993, Kendra's birthday party at BJ Banana Fingers is saved by a woman who works there playing a princess, who noticed how dissatisfied and bored she is and takes her on a unique adventure away from her rather controlling father. Next up, in 1996 is the year that Naomi loses her mother, as we see the whole family returning from the funeral. And there, the Schnook is entitled joke is born, thanks to Uncle Barry. Once everyone begins joking around, Naomi throws a plate at the wall, complaining that they should all be sad, that her mother would want them to be sad for her passing, and that they should not be happy on this day. In 1997, Avi unsuccessfully tries to teach his family how to play a board game. And the next year, Yoshi breaks Shira's nose by trying to participate in a basketball game that she was playing with Baby. A couple years later, in 2000, Aunt Sylvia passes away, and Avi and Naomi travel to Uncle Barry's brownstone in New York to mourn with him. Avi soon after sets off for college, and Naomi notices the brooch that she used to stab herself in that memory in 1959, asks Uncle Barry for it, to which he summarily denies her request. A couple years later, the local Jewish community center honors Naomi's contributions to the community and society as a whole, while Avi discovers a whole life that he really never knew his mother led and ultimately decides that he probably doesn't know her that well as a person. Shira sneaks out to prom to confess her feelings for Baby Feldstein, as Baby didn't really want to talk about their relationship earlier in the episode. While there, she finds out that Baby went with someone else. And when Shira challenges her, stating that they're already a couple and that they have something real, Baby denies this and pushes Shira away, causing a resentment between them that never really leaves or repairs. In 2004, Avi brings his girlfriend Jen home for his brother Yoshi's bar mitzvah. She and Naomi do not start off on good terms, and Jen learns that Avi has a bit of an eclectic family that he is not super willing to stand up to and didn't really think to warn her about. Despite this minor bump, they are able to patch things up, and they continue dating all the way through graduating college, eventually getting married and giving birth to a baby that they name Hannah. 2 years later, in 2006, Elliot and Naomi take Yoshi to a child psychologist, and Naomi insists they have additional testing done to determine if his demeanor is due to a dirty binky being dropped on the ground and simply wiped on a shirt and put back in his mouth, which Elliot thinks he might have done, but the audience is positive Naomi has done. The next year, in 2007, Kendra attempts to move up the corporate ladder at BJ Banana Fingers, overextending herself, resulting in the demise of the relationship with her current girlfriend. However, she is able to earn the job after she creates a ploy to get a random employee fired and then lies about her religion. Even though that person turns out to be the woman who saved her birthday when she was a child so long ago, she holds firm and decides to fire her without any severance. Later, struggling with her her guilt, Kendra attends Yom Kippur to keep up the lie she told to her boss that she is Jewish. There she finds solace in the prayers of connection, admitting her sins and really connecting with the Jewish community and Judaism as a whole. Soon after, she converts to Judaism fully. 5 years later, in 2012, Shira and Kendra meet at a grocery store and argue about who should be in the 10 items or less line, and Shira is 100% in the right. There, they also learn that each other are Jewish, and soon after begin dating, eventually getting more and more serious, to the point where they are still married to this day. The next year, in 2013, Yoshi gets involved with the "there's a mattress in there" scam, kind of listless and struggling to find his direction in life, and then moving back home with his parents. Elliot and Naomi disagree how to raise Yoshi and whether or not to encourage him or be more strict with him. The next year, in 2014, Hannah has a dance recital, which Shira, Kendra, Avi, and Jen all attend. Shira asks Avi to provide sperm so she can have a child with Kendra, but Avi is hesitant, and eventually Shira rescinds the offer. Jen and Avi are on shaky ground at this point, arguing a bunch, and Jen even has a brief moment of flirtation with another man, though she does not jump on it at all. Additionally, Hannah bites a classmate and the nickname Hannibal is born thanks to Naomi. The next year, in 2015, Yoshi prepares to donate his sperm to Kendra and Shira so that they can have a child, but ends up meeting and spending a night with baby Feldstein. Accidentally, finishing in his pants, he enlists Avi to provide his sperm and explain the situation to Shira. However, Shira, upset about this mistake and how irresponsible her brothers appear to be, declares that she will use neither of their sperm. And shortly afterwards, Kendra and Shira have 2 children, neither of which contain DNA from the Schwoopers. 4 years later, in 2019, Naomi and Elliot invite their kids to a beach house in LA, telling them that it is an intervention for Yoshi, but is really just to celebrate their anniversary, and they kind of pretended it was a crisis to make sure everybody comes, because that is the way Naomi knows how to get attention. Jen and Avi disagree how to deal with Naomi over-inserting herself into their parenting and gifting Hannah a phone, but Elliot gets Hannah a camera, noticing her interest in photography and appeasing the scenario. Additionally, we are told that Jen has recently begun a business in wine, leading us to believe that she has given up on acting. Yoshi has converted to Orthodox Judaism and observes it pretty strictly, which is a great surprise to Naomi, who doesn't particularly take it well and ultimately tries to force non-kosher food down his throat. Through all this turmoil and drama at the dinner, Avi, fed up, finally tells his mother what he truly thinks of her and asserts that if she wants to be in his life, things need to change between them. She needs to become more patient, more understanding, less critical, if they want to have a positive relationship. The next year, in 2020, Avi and Jen officially get divorced, and Naomi catches the coronavirus and passes away. The Schwoopers hold a shiva over Zoom, and some people don't even bother to come. The next year, in 2021, Kendra and Shira search for schools to place their children in during the pandemic. For a seemingly fantastic one, Shira goes all out, trying to make the knish that her mother used to, exactly the way she did, and kind of driving herself and Kendra insane doing so, ultimately deciding not to even go to the school because they don't take enough precautions to prevent kids from getting the coronavirus. Later in this same year, Avi attempts to get the school that his daughter attends to remove the wolves that have invaded the campus. Yes, literal wolves. And joins a group for concerned parents that ends up kind of landing him in a bit of trouble with his daughter Hannah, when they kind of go overboard. Not really Avi's fault though. I'm really only assuming this is later in the year due to everyone's clothing. It seems like everybody's dressed a bit warmer during the cooking debacle, but who knows, this might have been before then, because they do live in California, so they don't really get weather there. The next year, in 2022, is the last year we see any material from the Schwoopers thus far. Uncle Barry passes away, and the family comes together for his funeral in Las Vegas. Hannah and Avi attempt to steal the brooch that Naomi wanted, and Uncle Barry refused her. Shira hatches a plan to get back at the cousins who didn't come to the Zoom Shiva and were disrespectful, and Yoshi becomes overwhelmed, leaving and stopping at a nearby hotel to observe Shabbat. The family goes together to celebrate with him, and Hannah is able to lead the ceremony, reminding Avi of his own mother. Together, they mourn Uncle Barry and remind themselves of Naomi's passing as well, because they never really got to mourn her, did they? Properly, at least. After the trip, Avi sends his daughter Hannah to school, then sits alone in his car, listening to The Obvious Child by Paul Simon. And that covers pretty much every part of Long Story Short that we have seen thus far. Please let me know if I have missed any important events that were maybe mentioned in dialogue and weren't actually shown in an episode with like a timestamp next to it. I think I got everything, but you never know. Anyway, thank you so much for suggesting this again, and if you liked it, consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/PosiTVty, PosiTVty. There you get all these videos before they come out on YouTube, and you get to choose exactly what you want to see on the channel, and you get these really messy essays. Any person who is listening on Patreon right now, I'm so sorry. This was probably the most unprofessional video I've ever recorded. But if you're hearing this on YouTube, I edited it. So, you know, you have no idea that it was actually a complete shit show recording this video. But thank you so much for being here. I appreciate the support on YouTube a lot. Leave a comment, subscribe, like, do all that wonderful stuff, and I will see you for the next one. Have a wonderful day, guys.